Hello and welcome back to Franchise X. Scale Your Future brought to you by LiveMint in association with Scale100x.ai, world's first AI-led accelerator for offline expansion, franchise, network building, and growth capital. Today's topic is foundational. Before you scale, before you open your doors to franchise partners, before you think of 10 stores, 50 stores, or 100 stores, you need one thing: readiness. In India's fast growing franchise ecosystem, the second largest in the world, many founders want to expand quickly. But the truth is, franchising isn't about ambition or speed. It's about systems, discipline, and predictability. And that brings us today to today's masterclass: making your business franchise ready. What does it actually take? What systems must be in place? What mistakes you must avoid? And how do brands prepare the backbone that ensures partners thrive? Because scaling without readiness multiplies chaos. And hence, the real question is, can your business be run by someone who isn't you and still deliver the same customer experience, same profitability, and same quality? To help us unpack this, we have two exceptional guests. First up, someone who represents one of India's most trusted, respected, and operationally disciplined retail networks, the Raymond Shop. He's led retail excellence. Led retail excellence at scale and managed one of the strongest partner ecosystems in the country. Please welcome Paritosh Tiwari, business head at the Raymond Shop. Paritosh, great to have you here. And
Thank
our
you,
second
Shivani.
guest, yeah, and our second guest is a familiar face who's someone who has helped over 300 plus brands systematize, scale, and accelerate expansion. He is the co-founder of Expatrons and Scale 100x 100x .ai, a platform to built to make businesses franchise ready, fundable, and scalable. Always a pleasure, Jatin. So glad to have you back here.
Thanks, Shivani, and thanks, Paritosh, for being here. And I'm excited for the session.
So before we dive into the discussion, I have two very interesting propositions for our audience here. One is there is going to be an interactive session at the end of the discussion. So please prepare your questions and grab the opportunity to ask. And second, and more important, if you are a founder doing 5 crore plus ARR and are genuinely looking to scale your offline business across India, we have something truly valuable for you. Scale100x.ai, the world's first AI powered growth accelerator for offline scaling, is offering a free personalized growth consultation with Jatin Solanki and Vivek Gupta, co-founders of Expatrons and Scale100x.ai. This is a rare opportunity to get direct guidance from the team that has built and scaled some of India's strongest offline networks. Jatin and Vivek both are IIT alumni and are the minds behind Expatrons. They have spent years building and growing 300 plus franchise networks, working closely with founders, understanding their challenges, and helping them scale with structure, clarity, and confidence. So, this will give founders a chance to speak with leaders who have walked the same journey, understand exactly where they are, and genuinely want to support their next phase of growth. So, again, if your brand is doing 5 crore plus ARR and you're ready to expand your offline business across India, this is an invitation exclusive for you. So, now without much of further ado, let's jump into this exciting discussion. And Jatin, I want to start with you first, asking the very big question that having worked, with hundreds of brands, what does being franchise ready actually mean? What must be in place before a founder should even think about expansion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Jatin, please.
no, this is a very important question for every founder, and of course, founders keep thinking about, is this a right stage for us to scale? And I truly feel that there is a bit of a product market fit stage which needs to be crossed once you have run one of your outlets, or it can be a preschool, it can be a cafe, it can be a salon, like, but as you keep running them and as you keep scaling, there are certain challenges you'll face. And as a brand, until you reach a minimum threshold of revenue, a minimum threshold of customers, you have not even seen every challenges which is out there. So it's very important to kind of reach those marks. One of the smallest indicators could be just revenue. So have you, say, in each of your outlet, if the potential is to do 10 lakh per outlet, have you kind of reached 80-90% of that potential, at least in one of your outlets? And are you able to kind of scale it not only in one location, but are you able to do it across 3, 4, 5 locations? Because as you kind of scale that, you get to see all the challenges, and you know that there are these 99 ways which do not work, and there is this one way which works. Like you become more and more definitive about that. This works in marketing, this works in sales, this is working in terms of the location, this is working in terms of the product market fit, this is what the customer is loving, and this is what they are coming back for. And once you have really well defined answers for each of these, it's more and more easier to kind of define an SOP and kind of replicate this success with getting into franchising. I mean, the first question is, why even get into franchising? Is if there is nothing else coming between you and scaling, other than, of course, capital, then and maybe some other parts which can be, say, operational help you require from a partner, or you need a localized support from a partner. So you may have a good hold in the Maharashtra region, and you want to, say, expand to a Karnataka or a Gujarat, and you need a local partner there to kind of have the right support or right scaling support. So that's where a franchising kind of comes into play. So it's very important to, of course, have some of these things in play, and some of the parameters to look for is is the product really loved for, is the rating really good, is the revenue, has the revenue at least scaled over 1 crore a year at least, and if the potential of each of the stores is has kind of reached to 80-90% of it. So these are some of the parameters to, of course, look for. And once the product market fit is there, it becomes more and more, the probability of each of your partners also becoming successful becomes more and more higher, and that's what you're kind of expanding for. You want to create a sustainable revenue rather than just creating partners. You just don't want to create 10 outlets and all the 10 outlets not performing. That will only dilute your brand name. But you want to actually create 10 successful partners who then keeps giving you returns. That's the beauty of kind of creating a successful franchise model. So yeah, I mean, these are some of the parameters someone should look for, a founder should look for.
Thank you, Jatin. Thank you. That was very, very insightful. Paritosh, I want to come to you. You know, if any brand embodies discipline in India, the first name that comes to mind is Raymond's. I mean, the Raymond's shop runs with precision, consistency, and a very strong partner system. So, what operational foundations must a business have before it brings on franchising partners?
Sure. Thanks, Shivani. So Shivani, just to put things into perspective, we are a 1,000+ store network. Yeah, we have presence in about 600 odd cities, and we are a 100-year-old legacy brand. Yeah, so for any brand of our size, of our scale, yeah, if you have to open stores with any franchisee, or in fact, even if you're a new brand who's just getting into the business of a franchisee run stores, the first and foremost thing that you need to have is a brand playbook. Yeah, you cannot just have different kind of people running different kind of stores the way that they want to run stores. Yeah, essentially there has to be a brand book which people can refer to, which can actually help set guardrails for the business. Yeah, now when I say a playbook, a brand book, this does not include only the SOPs. It actually starts from right from the kind of locations that you will get into, the kind of rentals that you are willing to pay to acquire that property, the kind of rent revenue ratios that will come into play, what is the kind of ROIs that you would want your franchisee to earn in year 1, year 2, year 3. Yeah, how and where will you recruit your team from? Yeah, how would you train them? What would be the product merchandise that will go into the store? Yeah, how would you actually present them, both inside the store and outside the store? How will you make it more appealing for the consumers to walk into the stores? So at Raymond, we have a brand playbook for each of these things. However, like Jatin said, this is something that continues evolving. Yeah, you will see. Right now, we are present in about 620 odd cities. But having said that, every year we are getting into 5, 10, 20 new cities as well, which we don't have too much of knowledge about. And we take the SOP guidelines, the brand guidelines as a guardrail, but we make changes in it from time to time. Yeah, so that is how the brand playbook also keeps on evolving. But the starting point is to have a brand playbook.
Yeah. So, Jatin, tell me your thoughts. The idea of a brand playbook, when I think of it as a big, back, fat book which you will give to your partner, and they have to judiciously, read through it and understand and embody it. But
I
how simple as is that on a on a practical level?
Yeah. No, I think, of course, Paritosh said it very right. First thing is to have a brand playbook. But yeah, I mean, no one read books, neither in schools nor in colleges, and they are not going to read it now. So that's something which is going to happen. So it's never. I mean, though there needs to be a lot of training on that. There needs to be a lot of SOPs defined for that. It actually needs to be documented. It needs to be in document. It needs to be in paper. All of that is true, but then uh, it also needs to be. I mean, the partner needs to kind of learn it, and the learning kind of happens through the trainings which is being imparted to the partner, and usually that happens through the brand processes. And because these are real brand processes which needs to be followed, and once, like, as things are followed, that's how essentially, I mean, if the more the guidelines are being followed, the more it happens. I mean, the more it is essentially giving the result what is expected. Because when a store is being run, which is a company operated store, it's easy for a founder to control things around that. But like when it is being passed to a partner, it may be well defined on the paper, but it may not be followed on the ground, and hence a lot of times the brand also needs to kind of do audits and checks and balances. Because I mean, maker and checker also needs to be in place for it to be actually implemented. Because it I mean, from paper to actually it being on the I mean, being implemented on ground is very important. Because unless those rules are being followed, the result which is expected, like if say my own store, my company operated store was doing well, and if I expect the same result for a store which is just opening in Pune, and if it is not following the same guideline, it on paper it may be, and they may think they are following, and if they are actually not following it, then the gap may start coming in, and that may start. Because people, when, especially in case of franchising, of course, as Raymond is a legacy brand, and people are looking forward to us some kind of similarities in different stores of Raymond. So if someone has experienced it in Mumbai, and if they are kind of walking into the Raymond shop in Pune, they're expecting some kind of similarity there, some kind of brand guideline there, the same kind of colors, the same kind of expectation in terms of what product they are going to get. And if there is some deviation in any of those, that would kind of ruin the customer experience. And that's only from one side, but also they may have some marketing guideline that how they are luring in the customers, and they may have like this 100-year-old playbook. And if that is not followed, then your break even and everything what you expect, that hey, this is going to come in X number of months, may not come in those number of months. And then that the entire experience, be it for the partner, be it for the customers, even for the brand, I mean, all of it starts ruining around. And hence it needs to be very strongly enforced. So it is not just about a playbook in place, but enforcing of that, training of that becomes equally important, and having checks and balances in place becomes equally important. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So what I understand is that it's easier to get uniformity in terms of the wall panels, the kind of sunmica and the tables used, but it's far more challenging to get minds on the same level. And I think playbook helps there
Yeah,
very much.
that's
That brings me to
that's actually the cultural fit part, and I'm sure Paritosh would have more experience around that to kind of like as they check a new franchisee, they would check, are they a cultural fit for Raymond, because that's
Absolutely,
another very essential thing. So yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. So
Yeah,
adding on to what
Bharatwaj,
Jatin,
yeah,
yes,
please
adding
add.
on to what Jatin touched, no. So like he said, nobody reads books. Yeah, so it is mostly on the job training. So for example, if we have to open a new store with a first time franchisee, we get these franchisees to come and meet our existing franchisees. We get them to work in our franchisee stores, and our franchisee family helps and supports these guys. Yeah, they come on board, they actually tell them the tricks of the trade. Yeah, and then what we have realized, like Jatin mentioned, bang on, nobody likes to read books, so we have created a library of short videos that you can actually refer to and listen to and see, because today is the today everybody is hooked onto mobile phones, everybody spends
Hmm.
most of their times watching reels. Yeah, so we found a hack around that, so we have created a library of videos of how to do things, how not to do things. Also what happens is that mystery audit is something which is very very important for a brand like S. Yeah, so we have 1,000 odd stores, but our ASMs are about 40 odd ASMs. So 40 ASMs managing 1,000 odd stores, they would not be able to reach to every store at all point of times. Yeah, so that is where mystery audits become a very important tool to see that when somebody is not there, how are these stores performing. In fact, a lot of franchisee stores also, they are managed by employees where the franchisees themselves are not placed in that store, so they would also want to know what happens in the stores when we are not there. Yeah, that is where the importance of mystery audits come into play. Yeah, so there is again a textbook of about 100 questions. A buyer walks into the stores, does the mystery audit, and then actually tells us that what are the areas where you are actually performing as per the expectations that the organization had, and where are the areas that you can probably increase. And we do this on a quarterly basis, and it helps us see whether the graph is actually going up or if it is going down, and accordingly we take training interventions.
I love the word mystery audits mystery visits. It reminds me of those days when kings would dress up as a commoner and venture out in the night to
Absolutely.
check the pulse of their his or kingdom. So yeah, nice one there. Jatin, I have a question quite connected to this.
Sure.
Founders, I think it's a persona issue where they often struggle with letting go. They want to control, they rely on their instinct, they find it difficult to delegate. They're so used to running the show on themselves, doing everything from buying a stapler to purchasing a printer to getting into everything. But
Yeah.
franchising requires a different mindset. It requires standardization, delegation. So tell me, what is an ideal mindset that the
Yeah.
founder should do or should achieve before scaling?
Yeah. So I think very rightly said. I mean, of course, brands which actually want to scale, because I mean, uh, what a founder might feel is that anything and everything done by themselves is kind of the best version. So, but it's not possible to kind of form a business or form a venture without kind of forming the right team in place. And of course, franchising is a completely like letting go just within the team also is one kind of control, letting go. But that's kind of the first step. Like, you need to know that everything cannot be done by yourself. So say from writing emails to like anything and everything, and you're handling multiple departments, you may think that you are the best person to hire people, but if you keep hiring, then who will have the time for kind of raising funds, or who will have the time for scaling your business or finding the new clients and all of that, newer associations. But if you have to make time for these important stuff, you need to have a HR department in place, you need to have a HR leader in place who is in charge of hiring, you need to have this other person in place who is managing the business part of things. And so you need to have your core team in place to kind of keep moving for more important stuff. That is one part. And as you're kind of wanting to scale your business, especially in franchising, if I talk about, there again, of course, there is always this thought of whether I'm diluting my brand, I'm letting go of that. But then that comes at the I mean, if that was not the choice, then the other choice is to kind of have your 1,000 stores do it yourself. But if each store has an investment of say a crore, then 1,000 store would mean 1,000 crore of investment, and that would actually mean huge capital infusion, huge again, of course, if you're able to raise that funds, that is one part. But then problem number two is again managing so many employees around it. And here, as opposed to franchising, you're actually trying to create micro entrepreneurs. I want mini Jatins or like mini Paritosh in each of these places who are actually managing things, एंड उनकी भी नींद उतनी उड़ी हुई है जितनी मेरी उड़ी हुई है. लाइक एवरी मॉर्निंग दे आर वेकिंग अप एंड थिंकिंग यार स्टोर पे प्रॉफिट कैसे बढ़ेगा, हाउ इज ऑल ऑफ दिस गोइंग टू हैपन. So that is something very critical about franchising. You're actually creating micro entrepreneurs, you're creating similar persona to the founders, and they are also equally worried, and they are also putting their blood, sweat into making that individual store successful. So it's like an entrepreneurship for them, and because they've invested an amount to kind of set up the store. So if a Pune franchise of theirs have invested an amount of 50 lakh or a crore, then that person is too much vested uh, into the brand and wants to make it successful, wants to reach that break even point, wants to make sure that then they are able to reap the benefits of a profitable store, are able to make money for themselves. So the I mean, the A versus B is such a such a big difference that you would want to kind of create that right playbook. You would want to kind of get into the franchising mindset. You would want to find good persona of partners who are equally passionate about your brand as much as you are. And that's where I said that it's a you're essentially finding a cultural fit in the franchise partner. So that's another thing which of course brands love to look for. And if they find partners like those, they would not want to let go of those partners. And they are the best kind of partners. They not only perform best in their own store, they come back and ask for more stores. So I'm sure Partosh would have had that experience of partners coming back saying, hey, I've had successful store running in Kochi, now I want the second one, I want the third one. So that's another a very very important thing for a founder to kind of think of A versus B and let go of things and find really good people. Because a successful organization is not a person alone. It is actually like a set of passionate, really good set of people coming together and kind of being able to build value for the organization. So yeah.
Paritosh, anything you want to say on this?
So I definitely agree with what Jatin just mentioned. I think the barometer of the success the of a franchisee business is how many franchisees want to open more stores with you. Yeah, if you have a franchisee who's opened one store with you and does not want to open any future stores with you, I think then probably you're not doing something right. Yeah, so for us, in case of Raymond, we when we want to get into certain markets, we have multiple people. In fact, there is a lot of times there are situations where people actually come and uh, they start actually pressurizing you. Sir, I have been your partner, let me open this store for you, I would be able to generate better success in these markets. And that in fact becomes a big dilemma for us. So thankfully it's a good dilemma to be in, where you have more and more partners who are willing to open stores with you versus a case where you don't have anybody wanting to invest on you. And I think a part of this is because of the fact that we would probably be one of the few brands in the country where 90-95% of our franchisee partners make money. Yeah, uh, in fact, very rarely do we have stores which actually close down. So that's a good problem to be in, and that's the success of a franchisee business. How many people are actually wanting to open more number of stores with you?
So true, so true. I think I should move on because we are talking about monies and finance. My next question is very logically fits here because ultimately franchisees invest for returns. So, what financial indicators should founders evaluate before you actually start franchising? What does good unit economics looks like, if I may ask so?
Yeah, I mean, for a founder who is, of course, they would of course want to make sure that while they are creating their model and everything, like bringing everything in place, they should think of it from a franchisee's point of view, because a franchisee is no, like, I mean, these are people in different cities, in tier 2, tier 3 city, even tier 1 city, who are essentially looking for a business opportunity, who are looking to earn for themselves on a monthly basis and do better than what a job would do, or would basically, if they are investing that amount in the market, or if they are investing that amount in FD, or all these places where say a return is of 15%, 20%. So anyone who's investing and also kind of wanting to put their time, energy, money in it would want any returns which are better than that. So for a founder, they need to kind of think of it from the franchisee point of view. That is one. And then of course make a model which where there is a very clear defined OPEX, CAPEX, break even point, that in what, how many months is it actually going to break even, and the returns which they can expect. Because at the end of the day, it is also about XIRR, like what investment they've done and what returns are they able to generate. But if the returns are really minuscule, then they may as well put that money. If I'm going to invest 50 lakh in a QSR, I may as well put it in the market, and maybe the Nifty 50 or S&P 500 may give me better returns than than kind of investing the money as well as giving my time on it. So if I'm investing the money, I'm giving my time on it, I should at least get better returns than the market, which is like a passive mode of earning. And of course, it depends on what kind of model it is. If it is actually a franchise owned, company operated, like company is operating it and I'm only investing, then the expectation of mine should be similar or a little better than the market. That is one kind of outcome expectation. But if it is for where I'm owning the outlet, and I'm also kind of I'm also running the show for the brand, then of course my expectation as a franchisee would actually be better than the market, better returns than all of that. So the break even point needs to be very clearly defined. And hence kind of putting all of this together and thinking from a franchisee's shoe is something which is really really important for a founder to think for. Yeah.
Right, right. Paritosh, you mentioned very briefly about how your, franchisee owners make like 95%. Can you elaborate and talk a little more about that?
So, Shivani, see, for a franchisee, what is most important is the ROI, yeah, return on investment. Very rarely will you find franchisees who will go into IRR workings, who will go into payback periods, who will get into EBITDA. But one thing that everybody is very, very concerned about is that if I'm putting in 100 rupees, what is the return that I'm gonna get? Like Jatin mentioned, they would always want the returns to be upwards of 14 to 15%. Yeah, because that is the kind of
Hmm.
money, 6 7% is what you will get from FDs. Yeah, 10 12% any
Hmm.
decent mutual fund will give you those
Hmm.
kind of returns. And the
Hmm.
idea these guys work with, the idea that the franchisee partners work with, is that if I am putting my money into any business, my return on investments have to be upwards of 15%. Yeah, any business that gives them a return of less than 14 to 15%, at some point of time they would want to walk away from such businesses. Like I said, ours is a very stable business. See, one of the biggest trends of our network is fabrics. Yeah, and fabrics, Raymond, the association with wedding has been there from ages. It will continue to be there for ages. Yeah, so if there are marriages happening in the country, Raymond is a brand that you would see being worn, being gifted, being exchanged in terms of combos and everything. So that's the biggest advantage that we have. And from what I have seen, our business is so very successful that about 35 40% of our franchisee partners, they don't rent properties, they buy out the properties. Yeah, so that again shows the significance and the strength of the brand. Very rarely, I think, from what I have read through, what I know of, I think DMart is a company which likes to buy out its stores instead of renting stores. But it's a new age brand. Yeah, it's not a 100-year-old brand. Whereas we have people from last 20, 30, 40 years who've been buying out properties instead of renting properties, because they were very sure that the business that they are getting into is going to be there for 100 years, which it has already completed, and will continue to be there for another 100 years.
Right, right, right. So while everybody would love to kind of ape this model, Jatin, I want to step back a little bit and ask you, is there anything that checklist which says please avoid these mistakes? These are common mistakes. If you avoid them, you're going to be a far better, founder of a franchisee. Could you elaborate
Yeah,
a little bit?
I think of course we have seen this happening across industries. There is one of the very important thing is premature scaling. Like when people are not ready, they are yet uh, as I said, product market fit has not yet been achieved, and they are wanting to scale. They have not themselves kind of tried everything, every like different locations, achieving full capabilities of their own centers, and now they are scaling. What is happening is they are still figuring out if this is working or not, and now the partner has put their money in it, and now the partner is also figuring out along with the brand that it is working or not, and now there are 100 partners who are trying to figure out it is working or not, and now those 100 partners are on the brand, of course cribbing about the brand, like getting like making, I mean, now the brand of course suffers a poor name because of that. So one is of course one very important problem which usually happens is a premature scaling stage when you're not ready for it and you kind of plan to scale. And that premature scaling can also involve that the team is not in place, just like the support you had to provide to the partners, you don't have a team in place to kind of provide the right support to the partners. So that's one thing. No onboarding playbook, or how post onboarding, how the SOPs will be in place. So that's another problem which we see sometimes. There is weak economics, or the ROI, which of course Partosh also mentioned that if there is uh, no set economics and set ROI in place, which is there, and they are not able to kind of see where their break even point is going to come. That's another kind of red flag which starts happening, and people, even after seeing that their existing partners are suffering, that they still keep on scaling. So that's something no one should kind of go for, because that is doomed to kind of fail and is going to take their brand also to ground. So that's not something like weaker economics is not some, it's kind of a non-negotiable. And of course partner support, I've already said. Then there is unrealistic like projections, because that's um, on an Excel everything kind of looks good, and you can just like click here and kind of scale it, and you can say that hey, this is looking good, this is going to break even, this is going to be well. But there's a big difference between it being on paper and in reality. And that's something also very important, that um, anything which you have kind of written in the paper, even given assumptions in terms of like this is going to break even in these many months, or the margins is going to be X percentage, are you actually able to see it in your own stores? Are you actually able to see it across say 4 or 5 of your stores? And on the Excel, have you made the plan a little less than that? Like have you made it a conservative plan than being a more dreamy kind of scenario? Because it is always good to be conservative on paper and kind of deliver better, and under promise and over deliver, than being the other way. Because then the expectations are set well, then the partner is not expecting it to break even in say 24 months, and it actually breaks even at 18. The partner is happy, they come back, they want more, and all of that. But like if the expectation setting is wrong, then of course like everything else goes for a toss. So of course it's very easy to kind of like pull the Excel and say that hey, these numbers are going to work, but like it needs to be based on some reality. It needs to be based on what is actually happening in across multiple stores of yours, and is it actually breaking even in those many months, or is are the margins really X percentage which you claim it is going to be of? So yeah, these are some of the, I think, red flags someone should look for, yeah, before they scale.
Uh, Paritosh, you said very early on that you are expanding even today, opening stores every month, and it's not practically possible for you to monitor all of those. So obviously, you being an organization who has humongous experience at scaling, yet tell us what are the new learnings that you yourself learn every now and then. uh, if you could share for our audience, that'll be nice.
So see, one thing that one of my earlier bosses told me, that retail is all about detail. Yeah. So even though there has to be a playbook, like I said earlier, I think that playbook has to continue to evolve. Yeah. So one of the biggest learnings that I have had, that what works in northern part of the India might not work in the southern part of India. What works in the eastern part of India does not work in the western part of India. And being able to differentiate as to what is an investment and what is an expense. So for example, renovations, see, because we are a legacy brand, we are a 100-year-old brand, we are one of the first brands which opened its EBO about 50 years back, when nobody had thought about opening an EBO. That is the time that Raymond actually went about opening EBOs. And now a lot of these stores, after 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, they start looking jaded. Yeah. So be though you need to renovate these stores. Yeah. Now if you see renovation as an expense, that I have already spent some money on building a store, why should I spend further more money to break open the earlier store and make a new store? That is one line of thinking. What we look for is partners who don't see this as an expense, who see this as an investment, because you have to ensure that your store stays relevant in the current conditions also. And that is what we see, that every time that we renovate our stores, our sales go up by 15 to 20%. Yeah. Then a lot of learning also happens by you traveling in the country and outside the country. So for example, if you see abroad, lot of companies, if you look at their facades, they have started using LEDs in a big way. Yeah, last 1.5 2 years, you will see a lot of importance being given on the LEDs, lot of importance being given on the windows that are being created. Yeah. So that is another kind of learning that you have, that what do you see people who are not exactly your competitors, but whom you can learn from, and how can you actually adopt them in your environment. Yeah. So these are some learnings that continuously keep on happening for us. What is the kind of merchandise mix that you can play with? For example, after COVID, India has been into a K curve economy. Yeah, people who were looking for premium products have continued looking for more and more premium products. That is something that we are seeing in our stores. However, there are also a different set of customers who are looking for value for money products. Yeah. So how do you have stores in places like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, but you also have stores in places like Basti, Behraich, Chomu. Yeah, all these places also you have stores. So what is the kind of merchandise that you will keep in premium stores versus what is the kind of merchandise that you will keep in tier 5, tier 6 stores? And you have to continuously keep on monitoring this. Yeah, because this changes very quickly. And the biggest strength of the Raymond shop is the merchandise that we sell. Yeah. So being able to keep a tab on that, how do you ensure that technology can help you in that? How can you see what trend analysis can help you in that? That is the various kind of learnings that we have seen.
Okay, thank you, thank you. We are coming to the end of the conversation, but I want to come back to the original point of readiness. So, Jatin, tell me how your final words on how readiness will help, scaling and accelerating franchising faster.
Yeah. Uh,
What
so
should
I
that
think
readiness be?
yeah, I think in terms of readiness, of course, as I said, some of the parameters which are very important is for the brand to actually feel like they have SOPs in place. They now have seen everything worse to come for in their actual own stores, or in their own QSR, or in their own business, and they have crossed all of those hurdles which are to come. And once they feel that there is only fuel to be put on the fire, because that's the stage you would want to scale. So say if you have already 5 of those stores running really successful, and it's only a matter of capital, like why should I not have like 500 stores and all of them running like that? That's the stage you feel that, hey, this is, and that's one part. But the second part is also kind of having the right team in place. And I, just from our experience of managing team of 400 people and all of that, we know that you need to really have like an Avengers team with you. So you may need to have, say, are you a private limited? Do you actually have a ESOP pool? Have you actually granted ESOPs to few of your employees? If you don't have the team in place, are you, say, if I am a brand in QSR, and do I need a senior resource from Rebel Foods or Wow Momos to kind of handle the next wave of QSR I'm going to create? So say if I'm going to create 100 more stores and I'm going to provide support to them, am I able to get a senior resource from any of these companies, giving them some ESOP, even per se get a co-founder on board to have a complementary skill. So do I have the right Avengers team in place to kind of manage the expansion I'm planning? That is another kind of question which you would want the answer to. And if you have everything in place, if you have the right team in place, if your existing stores are performing best, then of course, then that's kind of the checklist you should have in mind to kind of go out and scale. And then there is of course no stopping you, because if you are able to kind of get these partners and are able to provide them the right support, if the partners are successful, that's kind of the critical key to your success. So if the partners are successful, if they are making money, you're very much going to make money. So it's very essential and very essential that the partners make money. And for partners to make money, if the support needs to be provided, if central marketing needs to be provided, whatever needs to be provided needs to be provided, so that all of those things need to be kind of in place to make sure that they are successful, and eventually you are successful. Yeah.
Right. So before I come to Paritosh, I would like to remind our audience that we have a Q&A session. Please start framing your questions and you can put them in the comment section. Coming to you, Paritosh, any final thoughts? Please, our audience will be very happy to know.
So, Shivani, one thing that I have seen over last 20 odd years of my working experience, of 15 of which have been in predominantly franchisee driven businesses, is that if your franchisees have confidence over your businesses, they become something which we refer to as franchisee influencers. Yeah. So, about 600 odd franchisees we have in our network. 25-30 of these partners are somebody that the rest of the network looks up to. Yeah, they take cues from them. Yeah, so if there is an initiative that these guys drive, the others would be more than willing to try it out. So if you manage to have a brand which takes care of its franchisees well, and when I say taking care of the franchisee, I don't mean giving them something, but to take care of their businesses, ensuring that they get proper ROIs, so to say. If you do that well, you have enough and more franchisee influencers in the system itself who will go forward and promote your brand. I think the biggest success that we see when we go into some informal parties with our franchisee partners, informal dinners with our franchisee partners, we tend to hear of brands, the other brands that they are working with. And when a partner starts praising your brand, especially a partner who's not been associated with you directly, but who's come for one such gathering, who's a friend of some other partner, and they start speaking very highly about your brand, that gives a huge kick. Yeah, that's the kind of boost that the brand should be looking for.
Right. Beautifully said. Word of mouth. Nothing works like that, even in this day and age. So, thank you so much for those phenomenal insights. Now, let's open the floor to our audience. Please drop in your questions in the chat, whether it's about CAPEX, ROI, SOPs, partner selection, supply chain, anything. We'll take them up. So, please. Yeah, I have one question right away from Rajita Bhatnagar. How do you know what's needed to stay relevant to the changing demands of customers, and what role technology plays in gaining insights? Any of you want to take it up?
So I'll go first. I think Rajita,
Sure.
one thing that we have seen. In fact, one of my bosses used to quote this saying that strategies are built on shop floors, yeah, not in AC rooms. Yeah. So if you have to be relevant and you have to understand what your consumers want, you need to have people visiting the stores. You yourself, if you are the one who's gonna take a call on strategic decisions of the company, then you need to be very close to the markets. And when I say when you have to be very close to the markets, then it actually means being there when the actual sales are happening, being there, going out, interacting with your customers, listening to them. What is it that you are doing right? What is it that the maybe competition is doing better than what you are? What are the areas that you can actually improve on? So traveling to the markets, speaking to the partners, being ready to take critical feedback, being open to improvements, I think that is what will make a brand relevant in today's world. Technology, so there are various technologies that you can use. So for example, we have been using a platform which actually helps us get an overview of what our ASMs are going and doing in the stores. Yeah, when they go, because our ASMs are the people who actually visit the store the most. They are the ones who interact with the customers the maximum amount of time. So we have a technology which actually helps us record these feedback, filter it through AI, and then actually from time to time in our internal reviews, we go through each of these line items to identify what are the things which are being repeated multiple number of times, and where we see certain amount of potential of improving ourselves, if I may have answered the question.
Yes,
No,
yes.
absolutely. I think
Very nice, very nice.
very well put. I think Paratosh, and also just to add on to what technology has kind of to like to kind of gain insight on how to kind of stay up to stay relevant as per the customer demand. You can. I mean, there are of course one is of course to listen to what your customer is saying, and that of course is something Paratosh and brands like Raymond kind of do it on the floor. But there is a lot more also out there on social media, so there's lots more to digest or crunch from what is being said about you on your Twitter channels, on your Instagram, on your Google reviews and everything. So that's another place where you would want to kind of gain those insights, crunch it, and kind of know what the customers are saying, and kind of meet up to their demand and stay with the trend. So that is one part. And then of course a really big role of AI these days is kind of to do deep research on things which are relevant to this relevant to today's age, and what our customers are essentially looking for. So especially in your industry, what is trending, what is doing well, which kind of things are picking up, is something you can very well kind of do a deep research on. You can use simple tools like Gemini, or you can actually use it on OpenAI, and kind of try to find things, find insights in your industry, and kind of update your products as per the trends which are going on. So that's another area where you can kind of where technology can play a role in kind of giving you the right insights. Yeah.
Right, right. We have, excellent questions here on the chat. One from Pranay Ghosh. What differentiates a brand that scales to 100 outlets from a brand that gets stuck at 5? Any one of you want to pick it up?
Yeah, I think I've answered some part of it while I was kind of answering through the session. But yeah, I mean, one very important thing is it's very important that the partners become successful, and if the right infra, right support, everything is not in place, what is eventually going to happen is the first partner may just come in with blind faith, the second may come in through blind faith, third may come in through blind faith. But then, as you said, you also said, Shivani, the word of mouth may start spreading. The testimonial may start coming. Everyone outside would start looking on your Google reviews and everywhere, and would know that, hey, the ROI which was promised has not come, or the returns which were, or the support which was expected has not come. And if that starts happening, you may be able to make 5 partners or 10 partners, but the 11th partner may not come in, because everything which was said on paper was a promise on paper, and it was not in fact something which is delivered on ground. So that's something that's the case when brands kind of get stuck at few number of outlets, and they are not able to scale further than that. But yeah, the beauty of brands with scale to, like, if 5 partners are able to make money, they are happy, then 10 could also do it, then 40 could also do it. And that's the beauty of kind of scaling. Like if you have things in place, if you have SOPs in place, if you're able to support the partners, if some partners are able to make money, then replicating it kind of becomes easier and easier. And that's essentially what product market fit is. It is actually flowing with the river and not kind of against it. And that you could see, like product market fit is something you could see. You can actually see customers loving your product, you can actually see the partners being happy. And as Partosh was also mentioning, in some informal dinner gathering, you'll find people talking about you, talking good about you, and praising your brand, and wanting to say open another store for your brand. So those are the kind of signals you would want to look for, and would want to flow with the river, flow with the product market fit to kind of scale from 5 to 100 to 500 to like as many. Yeah.
Right, right,
Absolutely,
right.
money talks.
Uh,
At the end of the day, money
yeah.
talks. If there is profit in the business, if the franchisees are making money,
Yeah.
scaling to 100 stores to 200 stores, pretty much possible.
Yeah.
But if the first 5, 10, 20 stores are not making money, and you don't have a vision of how these unprofitable stores will start
Mm.
making profits in, so a lot of times when you start on a new journey, you would not know, you would also want discover things. Yeah. So first, maybe 1 year, 1.5 years, partners might not make money, but if they have a vision that maybe after the first 1.5 years of gestation, if the stores are starting, I will start making money, they would still stay invested in you. Yeah. But if the
Mhm.
partners don't make money, scaling to 100 stores might not happen.
Yeah.
True, true, true. I want to take as many questions. Here we have one from Mukhtiar Ahmad. Should there be two brand book playbooks for COFO or FOFO stores? What should be an ideal rate of return for the FOFO stores, as you mentioned, as 14 to 15% against, for CFO?
Yeah, I think Parthosh has, of course, already covered some part of it, and maybe I can just touch base some of it. But of course, we were not talking about COFO. We were actually talking about, of course, franchise owned but company operated. When we said this 14 to 15%, because in franchise owned and company operated, so again, like all these terms, COFO, FOFO, FOCO, is just the level of involvement a partner has in your business. So अगर मेरा involvement is only money, then I am a franchise owned store, but the store is being operated by Partosh. मतलब वो operate कर रहे हैं, brand operate कर रहा है. But अगर if I am actually involving my money and I'm also operating the store, so then I'm FOFO. So the more my involvement is, the more returns I would expect. I would, if my money is only involved, then I'll expect something better than the market, which is better than 14 to 14 15%, which is, in case of FOCO, you expect better than 14 15% returns, because I can put that money in the market and I can get this return. So I want return something which is better than this. If my money is in the market and I'm also kind of operating, so now I'm also giving my time in it. So that's my opportunity cost. I could have done a job somewhere and I could have earned like X amount there. So now I'm expecting that return, plus I'm also expecting I'm making my salary out of this business. So that's the second kind of return, which, I mean, the lens you should look for. And this which you mentioned, which is company owned and franchise operated, this is a different thing, where essentially you're replacing an employee with a franchise partner, because the outlet is owned by you, but now the owner is essentially operating the store. And here, very beautifully, they are essentially looking for return on their time, because they are investing their time, they are not investing money. And here, then you should look for that, what would this partner make as an opportunity cost in any of the jobs they may get. So if they were already a VP at some bank and they were earning X amount from this business, can that kind of return come for themselves? Like, are they able to make something better than what they would have done otherwise in their corporate life? So yeah, I mean, it is easy. I mean, it's essentially, the more the involvement, the more return they would expect. And it's, I mean, these are the lens you should kind of look for to calculate what kind of returns you should give to your partner.
Right,
Absolutely,
right.
absolutely, Jatin. I
Uh,
think, yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead, Shivani.
no, no, please finish, please, please, please.
Yeah, so I think Jatin, what you mentioned is bang on. So Raymond as a group, for example, The Raymond shop, the vertical that I lead, we don't have any COFO model. Yeah. So we want people who are all in with us. Yeah, and we are all in with them. Yeah, no playing around the bushes, no playing around on the sidelines. Yeah. So you invest fully with us, and we invest fully with you. So there is no in between model that we work at Raymond shop with. So we either have company owned, company operated stores, or franchisee owned, franchisee operated stores. And company owned, company operated stores are also there for franchisees to get the confidence that this business works. Yeah. So for example, even our Coco stores deliver one of the highest EBITDAs in the industry for apparel. So our Coco stores deliver upwards of 24-25% of EBITDA. Yeah, which very few brands, handful of brands actually deliver that kind of numbers. And the reason why we have these 10-15% stores as Coco is to get our franchisees the confidence that this is how stores have to be run.
Right, right. We have time for just one last question, which is from Pankaj Murarka. How do we decide the exact model to follow with franchise, especially for technology solutions like solar? Jatin, you want to?
I, I
Yeah. So
I would not be able to answer this. Yeah, so
no, yeah. So we have, of course, worked in the EV domain, even in the solar domain, and everything. Pankaj, so yeah, I mean, it's as we rightly said that first you need to look at your own revenue. So say you're doing a revenue of 10 crore, where is that revenue coming from? And if that revenue is example coming from selling to corporates, like where is your majority revenue coming from? So say if out of the 10 crore, 8 crore is coming from selling to corporates, then you know that your franchise model would essentially mean for your partners to sell to corporates. And that's where you need to kind of find partners who are well connected with corporates, and they could sell to corporates, and they could, because unless and until you have sold to corporates and you have a product market fit there, expecting that a partner would sell it, that's not something which will happen. So and hence, to kind of, you need to kind of approach it from your revenue point of view, where your majority revenue is coming from, and then make a model which exactly fits into that playbook, and say that, hey, and because now you're already doing a 8 crore revenue with corporates, you know that what kind of corporates you need to approach. Like, say, is it a team size of 500 plus corporates you're approaching, or is it SMEs whom you're approaching and they're buying your product? That's where you will start having some playbook and some thoughts around it, and that is something as an SOP you can pass to the partners. So you're essentially looking for partners who could sell to corporates, who have connections in the corporates, and then start forming your ROI table, where example, they approach 10 corporates on a weekly basis, or say 100 corporates on 2 months basis. What is the kind of conversion they can expect? And these assumptions would essentially come from your own business. So if your own team is approaching and they are having a conversion of say 5%, then the partner may have a conversion of say 3%. So put those numbers in place, put those assumptions in place, and you'll be able to see some returns which the partner can generate. And based on those ROI tables is how you're kind of going out and going to get and find these partners who will serve for your solar business. So our approach to it would be from your own revenue side, and if you have achieved a product market fit there, if you're already selling crores worth of your own solar products to a particular audience, then you're essentially looking for partners who would be able to do the same. So yeah, hope that is answering
Right.
that answers your question, Pankaj.
Thank you, both of you. In this series, we have had variety of excellent guests who have got their expertise, and this one has been no different. In fact, I think the fact that we have got the opportunity to listen to Paritosh, which brings in the giant Raymond's experience in franchising, and we have Jatin, who brings such deep dive experience with startups. So very, very thankful to both of you. I'm sure our audience has had a very enriching experience attending this session. Before we close, I just want to once again and kind of underline a message that franchising doesn't begin with just expansion; it begins with readiness. So, because with readiness comes consistency, and consistency leads to scale. So, once again, I would like to remind you that if you are a founder doing 5 crore ARR or more and you want to expand to 50 or 100 outlets, raise capital, or build franchise systems, Scale100x.ai is offering a free franchise readiness audit plus growth consultation with Jatin and his team. We'll share the QR code and form link in the chat as I speak. Once again, a big thank you to Paritosh for sharing the Raymond perspective on discipline and consistency, and to Jatin, as always, for decoding the science and systems behind scale. And of course, thank you to our audience for joining us. We will see you in our next episode, where we'll dive deeper into systematizing your business before you scale. So keep learning, keep building, and keep scaling your future. Till then, it's goodbye from all of us here.
Thanks. Thanks,
Thank
Shivani, for
you.
this
Thank
one.
you.
Thanks, Paritosh. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Jatin. Thank you, Shivani. Same here. Take care.
Take care.